now I'm seeing it come in ways at me. Like I open my mouth and give my opinion, and the Twitter warriors are like, "Well, no, you're wrong. You're wrong." I'm not trying to be right or wrong. I'm giving you my like learned experience as having played professional golf now for almost 10 years, have played, elite level amateur golf for even longer. I've played competitive golf for a very, very long time. I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't care to be right or wrong.
Dude, you look great. You look like you're in a professional studio
Sure, right.
there
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
are, wherever you are. Where
I
are
am
you?
at I'm in
This looks like a nice room.
it's a probably 20-year-old room. The Innisbrook Resort here in Tampa is not the most updated.
Ah, yes.
It's actually it's actually a lot better than I thought it would be.
I know
Yeah.
that. I know that well for
I can't
myself.
make sense
Yes.
of this resort. I don't get how,
Yeah.
other than this week, like who comes
Yeah.
here? What do people do here? It can't it doesn't I don't get it. I really don't.
It's a little confusing.
We came here in college and it was way worse. That was like 10 years ago, I think. Even we came here and the room we were in smelled just old and musty. This one does not smell. Does not make a whole lot of sense in terms of layout. But there's a little couch behind me and then a bed. So like
There you
when I
go.
watch TV, I don't have to lay in bed. I like that.
Okay.
I'm not a big. If I'm in bed, I'm in bed to sleep. Um, so it's got everything I need in here. Now, is it like efficiently laid out? Absolutely
Okay.
not. But
It's an interesting place.
I'll make do. It's a 2-second drive to the golf course.
Well, you're there, uh, and and how's your so practice around today? Pro am.
Yeah, I played 9 holes. I played the back nine. We played a hole and a half in kind of cold. I teed off at 10:30. It was cold and rainy, so it really was not shaping up to be a day that you really wanted to be on the golf course. Fortunately, by about
Yeah.
the 11th green, our second hole, the rain stopped, and then another 2 holes, the sun came back out. It really turned out to be quite a nice day, which was very nice.
Okay. So, I mean, Harry, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking this time. I mean,
Yeah,
you're teeing off in the Valspar tomorrow. What's your tee time?
I'm teeing off. I'm last. I am at 2:36. I don't know that I have ever played a round of tournament golf after two, definitely not after 2:30. So I have got, Tom, nothing but time.
Love it.
The next step is uh, talk your ear off,
Yeah.
find some dinner, which can be a little difficult around here. There's not a whole lot of stuff around here. I know Ted Lasso came out, so I'll probably put a few episodes of that on and
Yeah.
then pass out
Yeah.
and wake up far too early and try to kill a ton of time tomorrow morning before I go.
What? Yeah. Like 2 o'clock? I mean, hey, that's good preparation for the weekend. Last group. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, true.
So
I guess yeah.
you adjust your body to that schedule.
Yeah, yeah. It's not awful. I do not, or I have found that I do not do that well when I sit around too often or too long.
Yeah.
So I will go up to the course and eat breakfast probably around 8 o'clock. Have some breakfast. I was gonna get in the gym and like teeing off at 2:30, I could like full on workout, less of the
Yeah.
just kind of warm up activation. So I think I'm gonna eat some breakfast, have a full on workout, come back and still have like 90 minutes or so to sit around. Go back up there, do some kind of like specific activation movements, have lunch, and then go. I always start putting, hit some putts, hit some balls, tee off.
If you get bored, just call me. We'll record something else. We'll do like a follow up or something.
So yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I do all the podcasts.
Well, there is plenty to talk about.
I know.
More now this week. There was plenty to talk about before, but
Seriously.
there's a lot of stuff going on in the game of golf, especially the game of golf at the professional level. I guess now the elite level, as we're
Elite.
calling it.
Elite.
Yeah, there's plenty to
You know,
talk
I didn't
about.
want to foist it all on
Yeah,
you right.
I don't think I like being called an elite.
I didn't want to
Yeah,
foist it all on you right off the bat, but there because I almost already. It's been a short while. I don't know when this will air, but folks, probably soon because we're talking about topical things today. But just so people know, yesterday would have been the announcement by the USGA and the RNA about the golf ball. So, and I already have like hot take fatigue. There's so many
uh,
just people firing
it's
off this
so
and firing off that. I mean,
it's so it can be so annoying. Like I always joke, and in my bio on the PGA Tour website, it says like if I wasn't a golfer, I would be a senator, governor, maybe president. And it was just like I mean, I filled that
I
out in
saw that.
2014. It's just like it's literally just a joke. But then I go back and forth. It's like this cannot be that hard to like sit a group of people down in a room and agree on at least a few things because obviously no one agrees on anything now.
Right.
And now, the last year and a half plus of professional golf, like now I'm seeing it come in ways at me. Like I open my mouth and give my opinion, and the Twitter warriors are like, "Well, no, you're wrong. You're wrong." I'm not trying to be right or wrong. I'm giving you my like learned experience as having played professional golf now for almost 10 years, have played elite level amateur golf for even longer. I've played competitive golf for a very, very long time. I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't care to be right or wrong. So man, I'm with you. The hot take fatigue is it. I'm extremely fatigued by it. But in a way, I'm happy to also talk about it.
Hmm.
Even this morning I sat with some of the tour. I call them the suits, the executives, and I knew I was coming on, and I wanted some information from them that maybe I could use. And then here this week is Scott Langley, who took Jason Gore's position at the USGA, and I pulled Scott aside after I was finished with everything today, and I was like, "Hey, man, I have a general idea about why you guys are doing this. Can you sell me on why you are taking these steps? Because I just would like some information on it so that as I continue to speak, my opinion can be even more well informed. I still don't give a shit if I'm right. Like, leave me alone. I'm gonna be wrong at some time. I'm gonna be wrong plenty of times. And in this day and age, you're wrong in far more people's eyes than you are right. So it does. It gets annoying. It's the way our world is. Um, I'm probably gonna say quite a few things on the topic
Sure.
in the next however long. In my experience, Tom, if we're trying to get an hour, it usually takes me about an hour and 45 to stop talking.
Right.
But again, on my end, I have plenty of time. But yeah, what I say from here to now is just my learned experience, and my opinion is formed from that. I do not care if I'm right or wrong. I really don't care what people think, whether I'm right or wrong. But I just get tired that like no one can be right, no one can say what they think. Just before coming on to this, I heard JT Justin Thomas's kind of 3 minute long clip or what have you. The press conference he did this morning, and obviously he addressed it, and it's like the same thing. I find joy in like reading the comments after somebody says something like that, and just same thing. It's just like it's entertainment for me to read the comments. Like he's wrong. He's wrong. He's a you know rich, successful top 1%er. We shouldn't even be listening to him. It's like, well, sure, don't knock the guy for working his tail off and becoming successful, and obviously with that comes some financial security. But his experience is pretty learned experience in this space, and there are plenty of things that I don't think anybody should ask a PGA Tour professional, like what should we do in this specific area of the game, because for the most part we just show up, play, take money, and leave, and go do it again and again and again. We are not necessarily the best spokesman for a lot of these things, but people ask us questions and we'll give our opinion. But of course, the opinion can just never be correct, and more often than not, the opinion is never correct in a lot of people's eyes. So
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, yeah, self-righteous indignation is the mode of the day. So it's just how we respond to anything anymore,
yeah,
and it's a drag. And so if you have an opinion, of course, it's pretty informed because
yeah,
in at least in this conversation, you're the only professional golfer here. And so yeah, I want to know what you think about this and
yeah,
how it impacts your life and your earning and your job. And I think that's worth listening to. So
sure,
I'd love to hear though. You said you talked to the USGA and some folks from the tour as well. How did those conversations go?
yeah. Um, well, I do have a little graph that's on my phone, and for the listeners and the viewers, I kind of messed up the iPad portion of this, so I can't get exactly the numbers right because now I'm doing this on my phone. Um, so again, if I will it kick me out?
Pull it up. What is it on a note? You can pull it
Does
up
it?
on your phone.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
we're
okay,
recording on
okay,
your phone,
okay,
but you can
okay,
still
okay. Well,
pull it
now
up.
I can't see
No,
me,
it
so
won't.
now
It
this
won't.
just
It'll
freaks
still
me
see you. There you go.
out.
You're
So
fine.
on our side, yeah, the PGA Tour side,
I just want to hear this graph
we'll
that you.
start with, and this was a big hot button one. The
Yep.
99th percentile in clubhead speed. This goes from 2007 to 2022. The 98th percentile, so the guys that swing it the fastest of the fastest. 2007, it was 124.
Okay.
There's a slight dip. It was 123 and a half in 2014. And then a slight incline. It peaked at 2019 at 127 miles an hour. That's obviously an important number. And then last year it was 125 miles an hour. So a lot of folks that have had some takes that would, I guess, lead you to believe that this is not a good idea and that we are legitimately testing a golf ball for, with the parameters of literally the top 1%, the guys that swing it the absolute fastest. That the number there that proves out.
Mm-hmm.
The best I can do, like downwind off the right, is maybe 121 miles an hour. And I am working to get a little bit faster, and there's a lot of work that goes into that because honestly, Tom, the question that is asked of us more often than not in professional golf, whether it be PGA Tour golf or major championship golf, is how long and straight can you hit it? We're not being asked necessarily the any other question like finesse shots around a green, finesse shots with that roll, you miss a green, it rolls off the green instead of just staying in the rough. Where pretty much short game shots are just kind of like big blast shots out of thick rough lies, which are not that difficult as if, the green was maybe shaved more or less rough and the ball repels off, rolls down to 15, 20 yards off the green. Now you're going up and then back onto the green. That's going to, that gives us options. It gives us 3 or 4 options, and then PGA Tour players and professional golfers can look pretty silly when they have more than one option because you get into like maybe not being as committed, and you might hit a poor shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the ones that was I thought, um, let me see here, the top 30 in the FedEx Cup. So the guys, obviously, the average swing speed of the top 30 in the FedEx Cup last year was 116 miles an hour. When we are testing a golf ball now at 127 to limit, obviously, in some way, shape, or form, the distance that the ball travels, and we're 11 mile an hour different in terms of on the PGA Tour, our 30th best performers on average. That's 11 miles an hour faster. That to me seems like, and I'll say, to me, it seems like they being the USGA and the R&A are stacking the deck based on the number that they chose to test a ball. They're stacking the deck, knowing all too well that there are probably on tour, and now this gets into the guessing, I would say 50 to 60 times a year across every tournament does somebody swing it at 127 or faster. But we're going to test the ball then to, rein the distance that it can travel. I thought that 116 miles an hour of our 30th best performers all year long, on average, was a pretty eye-opening statistic, and that's still plenty fast. But on average, the PGA
Mm-hmm.
Tour average PGA Tour players, our average of everybody altogether is 114 miles an hour, right? There are obviously guys that don't swing it that fast that bring down the average, and everybody knows how averages work. And then the conversation that I had with Scott Langley, I mean, just 90 minutes ago, he brings up great points too. For me, initially, and I think I will continue to have this opinion, and I said it yesterday on camera in a Golf Channel interview. I thought I thought it was a pretty funny way to answer the question. What are your initial thoughts and feelings on the announcement? Well, my initial thoughts and feelings are USGA and RNA, get off my lawn, like leave us alone. Um, I just thought that was a funny way to maybe make people laugh
Yeah.
in this time where everybody's got a debate and everybody somebody's got to be right, somebody's got to be wrong. and I wanted to know. I basically asked Scott, "Sell this to me. What am I?" And I know that the USGA and RNA are doing this more, not for their benefit. I think that gets lost in it. They're not going to. Neither one of these organizations are going to profit off of, it's essentially implementing a golf ball that travels a little shorter only at the elite level. They're not going to profit off of it. Now they're doing it more so from the sustainability side, and Scott's basically his the way that he sold it was very one brief question. Over the last 20 years, club head speed has gone up a average club head speed has gone up a mile per hour year after year in quite a linear fashion, which, yeah, that checks out for the most part. Take it another 20 years, if it continues, which club head speed and ball speed, if it continues in a, year after year, 1 mile an hour, 1 mile an hour, 1 mile an hour, what do the venues have to look like in 20 years to challenge the elite level competitor? And that also was eye opening to me, right? Like, yeah, if that were to be true, and to some degree it would be true, I would be shocked. Again, I'm not necessarily an expert. I'm trying to swing it as fast as I can. I don't think I'll ever be able to move a golf club more than 125 miles an hour. And I've never done it before, and like that would be kind of the goal in the end range. And honestly, that's all I would need. That's plenty fast
Mm-hmm.
enough. But there are some, there are kids 12, 11, 12, 13 years old, and 16, 17, 18-year-old kids that are playing high school golf, college golf, that have been doing the same things that I have now been doing over the last year and a half, in terms of trying to get faster, hit it further. And they've been doing it, obviously at a more at a younger age, where they could actually learn this and implement it maybe faster and continue to improve it time out, year after year after year. So do I think in 20 years everybody will basically on average be 20 mile an hour faster? No, because now that's, PGA Tour players are at 114 right now. Every PGA Tour player average club head speed. We ain't going to get to 134
No.
average, but we may have that top 1% may be, now last year it was 125. It may be 135 in 20 years. And yes, what does a golf course look like in 20 years if that is the climb? Which I don't agree that it would be the climb. It could be, unlikely. But if that's the climb, what do the golf courses look like to challenge us? Well, yeah, I mean, they do look like probably 8,000 plus yard golf courses. And, you know, I like the courses on tour that challenge me. I think every pro would also agree, that challenge us in a fair way. And there are some that I would say do so in a bit more of a gimmicky way, creating the challenges that may not have been created in design, and they've just been added, and it just doesn't fit, and it's just silly, and it takes strategy away. And then when you take strategy away from us, everybody stands on the tee with their driver and swings it as hard as they can and just deals with where it goes. Because there's no benefit to fitting a 4-iron into the left side of the fairway versus just banging driver and hitting it up the right rough and then wedging it on the green. So Scott's point, I thought, was a great one. My opinion would still be, based on the number that they're choosing, and I do not have enough information yet to really. So this is a more than well-informed, but not fully informed opinion. My opinion is, it seems that they have made a jump to the 127 mile an hour range with kind of the future in mind. And I will admit, and I would probably can speak to everybody that is playing this week and that plays, professional golf at an elite level. We don't like looking into the future, right? It's just kind of what's in front of us. So we should not necessarily. We'll leave that to the USGA and the RNA, and then the PGA Tour as well. They do look into the future, but the the 127 mile an hour number seems like they are trying to implement this change that they probably should have made a decade or more ago. Implement this change quickly so that they do not maybe have a potential issue down the road with what a venue may have to be to host a Open Championship or a U.S. Open. And I do not blame them for doing so. They are doing their best to try to continue to challenge us in more ways than one, both mentally and physically. But they are trying to challenge us and still play great venues that don't have to be 8,000 plus yard golf courses. And yes, to some degree, that is trending. It's slightly trending that way, but then the flip side of that argument is, well, if you make the golf course longer, you want to know what happens? We all hit it further because you just hit it
Yeah.
harder. It's not if the question that's being asked of us is to who can drive it the longest and the straightest, and that's the question that is asked when the golf course gets crazy long, when a par four goes from 440 to 520, you're darn right we're not going to sit up there and try to hit it shorter in the fairway. We're just going to try to hit it longer and deal with
Right.
it. If you had a 2 yard wide fairway for 400 yards, you're not going to take a 9 iron out and try to hit it in the 2 yard wide fairway. You're going to take a driver and try to hit it as far as you can and figure it out. So I guess in a long-winded way, and I'm sure I bounced around maybe a bit too much there, but it just seems a bit not rushed because they've done obviously a ton of research, but it just seems like the numbers that we're using kind of on a way admit that they maybe should have done this before, and then also the numbers that they're using, they think that that's where you know the average is going to get to, but I don't see the average. Right now, PGA Tour 114 miles an hour. I don't see the average in 10, 20, 30 years getting to 127. That would be utterly ridiculous. And then, I've spoken with some, I'm a TaylorMade guy. I've spoken with some TaylorMade guys. Obviously, everybody saw kind of Titleist's stance on this, and they were very against it. They, to some degree, have an incentive to say what they've been saying, but also have also admitted that, like golf ball technology, we've pretty much maxed it out. There's kind of been a plateau. They're going about as far and as straight as we can get them to go, and that's obviously helpful for
Mm-hmm.
me. But we don't see us in the next decade making a new ball that's going to go another 15 yards. That's going to put the game in a worse spot, sustainability and venue wise. So I know that the manufacturers are a bit irritated. A lot of us on tour are a bit irritated. A lot of the PGA Tour executives are irritated without maybe admitting that they're irritated because it does them no good to admit that. And we'll just wait and see. This may be the what do they say, the straw that breaks the camel's back. This may be the thing that's like, all right, USGA, we thank you for making the rules for us for however long it's been, but we will not be implementing this one, and we'll be kind of doing our own thing with regards to the distance the golf ball travels. And I think that that's a bad thing for the game. So we'll wait and see. I would imagine. I guess we have what, a 5 month period of question and answer,
Right.
and then they decide that whether or not they want to do this for 2026. Now it pretty much gets to who flinches first. Does the USGA and RNA flinch first because we were whining and presenting, not whining, but I guess presenting good information to them that they may not have, in terms of like, this is a you're creating this, you're making this problem bigger than it actually is. Or does the USGA not flinch, and do we just kind of fall in line and maybe play a golf ball that goes a bit shorter and figure it out from there? I'm not sure, but it is certainly a hot button issue.
It's going to be interesting, and I think that's pretty. Talking about saying the tour is at like 114, 115, 116, and then capping it at 127. That does really make you sort of think.
Yeah.
You're yes, I understand that because of there have been huge leaps in golf ball technology in the last 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where you're getting, I think, yeah, the ball's moving faster. But are we really going to be like have to worry about guys swinging at 135? Maybe, or
I don't think so, Tom. I think, man, I don't think we're yet evolved enough as a professional
as a
golf
species.
species, we'll call it,
Yeah, right,
to
right,
do
yeah,
that and do it consistently, dude. Like, I mean, it's hard. It is very difficult to one gain speed and make a quite a big jump in speed. It's a lot easier to do on the range, and then you get on the golf course, and that's kind of the whole point of it: swinging harder, swinging harder, swinging harder, so that it brings your level up, incrementally, very, very, very little on the golf course. But if everybody's swinging at a 135, I don't think guys will be able to play more than 10 times a year. You're going to always be hurt. I mean, it's
right.
I have a home and away trainer. I mean, I know people would maybe look at me and laugh at that. But it's true. I take very good care of myself in terms of, maybe I might have a cocktail or two during the week, and I might eat a few more cheeseburgers than the rest. But like, I mean, I'm in the gym before I play, after I play. Like, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, and like, I do not see 135. 135 is extreme, obviously. I don't even see 127. I mean, that's 13 miles per hour higher than our average, all PGA Tour players. Like, I don't see it getting there. I see the average maybe in the next decade getting to 116, 117. It's a big jump. I had one of the Titleist guys, and I don't. This is just something he said, and they felt a little slighted, and I think all manufacturers to some degree should. And then as more information comes, um, one of the Titleist guys said at 127 the old Balata ball would fail the new test that they're trying to now. He says that I don't think that they've actually tested a Balata ball at 127, so who knows? But it's like this is just a bit of an overkill, and more so for a PGA Tour player. I'm sure we'll get here in a few minutes to the changes that we implemented in terms of like the structure and the schedule of our tour.
Right.
Well, we are doing that because we are to some degree having a difficult time. And I don't want to say that it's not a difficult time, but we are trying to improve our product to continue to obviously sell to networks and whomever else, sponsors. And we're trying to improve our product to continue to sell, to grow basically the pie that we earn money out of. And
Hmm.
and whether you agree or not that we should be making more or less, that's there I could be swayed both sides. But we are trying to improve our product to bring more people into watching, and then hopefully playing as well. But like, as a professional golfer that plays on the PGA Tour, I am more it's more important to me that you watch than it is that you play. The more that you watch, the more that I make. Now I want people to play the game because it's a lovely game, and I think it's the most perfect game that there's ever been created. It's maddening. It just you're out there. Even if you play 9 holes, you're out there for hopefully 2 hours. That's a whole other point, slow play. But hopefully you're out there for 2 hours, 9 holes, and you feel every emotion that a human being can in 2 hours. And then you leave, and you might be irritated, but you want to wake up and do it again the next day. I think it's the best game ever. But it's like, well, we're really trying to sell. We're really trying to do a good job for our fans, for our sponsors, for future fans, future sponsors. And part of that, it's a small part, but part of that is people come and watch some of these guys hit the ball just astronomical distances. And now you're telling us that, like, yes, they're not going to hit it that much shorter, but we're going to make them hit it a little shorter. It's just like, man, it's hard enough to sell this product, man. Like, get off my lawn, right? I mean, so it comes at a very, very interesting time, obviously. Um, and I think it's just a slight, I guess, overreach, for lack of a better term. I don't see the jump being that severe in the next decade or two, but I see the jump definitely continuing. I see clubhead speed definitely continuing to where the USGA's point about, like, what does a venue look like that we can challenge you guys, and that venue may be something big and gaudy that costs a lot of money, and that might not be attainable. And then you have to sit down at the table and listen to the USGA and the R&A. And St. Andrews had the Open Championship just last year, and as a professional golfer, I personally don't care that guys are shooting lower scores there, right? I mean, I think Cam won at 20 under. I saw a tweet that there were like 9 rounds of 65 or better, and every year previous that they played, it looked like the high of 65 or better was maybe 2 or 3 the year it was there. I think that's fine. That just shows the evolution of the abilities that we have, and it's taken a lot of hard work and practice to do so. But yes, it also is because the golf course, it just plays shorter than it ever has before, and in it playing shorter, the rounds take longer. Now there's a few par
Yeah.
fours that people have never gotten to that now you can get to. It's I guess in a way a double edged sword. I mean, it's the USGA and the RNA have a point. I get that as it continues to increase, and even increase slightly in 20 years, in 50 years, when I'm no longer playing, yeah, it may be a U.S. Open golf course has to be 9,000 yards and just this like monstrosity that's created. It costs a ton of money and it costs a ton of money to maintain. And I get that that's a possibility. So, I guess in their defense, then this would be the time to do it. And you should do it. I mean, it feels like you should have done it 10 years ago, but they didn't. So it's a mute point. This is the time to do it. And I guess then we just have to wait and see. As a PGA Tour professional, am I going to play a certain golf ball for, you know, 25 weeks a year and have to play a different golf ball for 2 or 3 or maybe 4 weeks a year? Who knows?
Hmm.
Interesting times in the game of golf.
It is interesting times. I would hate for you to that does sound like an absurd solution, but that might be what happens, that you're playing with.
Yeah,
And considering how particular people are about their equipment, as they should be, that's sort of a nightmare scenario. So it's going to be fascinating how it falls out. The venue argument is one that I'm what are venues going to look like? Well, I mean, Marion kicked everybody's ass, and it's the shortest course that they're gonna,
yeah,
you're gonna have at a U.S.
yeah.
Open, and you know what, and try Oakmont on, it's and try Shinnecock, and
Oh,
I understand that that the old course is there are two, the par fours are becoming drivable, and it's creating 6 hour rounds, and that's an issue, but I don't know. I just think I think that the answer at the end of the day, like when you look at Marion takes driver out of your hand so many times.
yeah,
And that's really the only way that you're going to stop people from hitting it.
yeah.
If you want to stop people from hitting at stupid distances, you got to take driver out of their hand. The guys are going to all find out,
Ask us a different question. Yeah,
ask a different question. If it's going to be,
yeah,
because I think professional athletes will always find a way to, if the question is I got to hit it further, they'll find a way to do it. I don't care what you do to the golf ball. I don't care what you do to the golf club.
yeah,
We have always, we've always evolved. We hit the baseball farther. We skate faster. We do all these things better and better and better, and that's not going to stop. So, we have to start, I think, as you're saying, I think in my view, sort of start with the golf courses and the questions that those golf courses ask. So, yeah.
yeah. I think we've brought up the point. I'm not a huge fan of Torrey Pines. I've had some decent success there, playing it professionally. Um, I think it's obviously a beautiful piece of land. It's one of the some of the best views down there by the water. Torrey Pines, I would probably tend to say 3 or 4 shots. It might be less. I'd say a shot and a half to 2 shots harder if you mowed from 60, the front of the green, 60 yards, 60 yards to the green and the green surrounds, get rid of all the rough. I think it would play a shot and a half, 2 shots harder. And in that, maybe just move a few fairways a little closer to the canyon, done. There are some shots out there, even in February when we play it. Now, this is not, June in the US Open. February, that you're just like, yeah, I mean, I can just land it. I'm in trouble. Maybe I have a decent lie in the rough, but I know I won't be able to stop it on the green. But I got a decent enough lie that I can get it on the green. All right, I'm just going to land on the green and I'm just going to roll through the back of the green. A back flag, I have 15 feet. I go back there. I just kind of splash like a bunker type shot out of the rough. It lands soft. It trickles out to 3 or 4 feet. Now 3 or 4 footers on Poana after people have been playing it can be difficult, but I got a 3.5, 4 footer for par. Now, flip side, if you've gotten rid of all that rough, and I'm in that rough, and I have a decent enough shot to the green where it's like, I would land it on and roll it off. Well, now if I land it on and roll it off, and it goes 15 yards down in a collection area, might be, some tight, grainy fairway grass, or kind of even, it can be soft in February. It might be soft down there. I'm not going to be able to, with enough certainty, grab my lob wedge, hit it up over this little slope, land it in, let's say I got 8 feet of green to work with, land it in the right area with the right amount of spin. Like, I'm going to go back there. It's going to be lob wedge. It's going to be maybe a pitching wedge, bump and run. You could see a 5 would be played, bump. You can see guys putt it. I mean, I think it would make it shot and a half, maybe at most 2 shots harder with less rough at Torrey Pines. So, and you don't have to make it any longer. So the venue's there.
Yeah.
Just do something different with the venue.
Right.
And that's just, that's the weeks with less rough around the greens are the hardest. The weeks that the greens are firmer are the hardest. I mean, it's just the way that it is. And, obviously penalty areas, water and out of bounds and the like make things harder. But like, there's not a single water hazard other than the fake one that's created in the front of the green on 18 at Torrey Pines. Like, I'm never worried about hitting into water ever. And most of the time that whole place is so damn long, I'm laying it up anyway. It's just like, that place would be so much more difficult with less rough. It really would. I mean, I hit some awful shots there that wound up over greens, and quite honestly had some of the easiest up and downs. The balls that flew over the green, and the rough's so damn thick, it just stays there, and it's just an easy spot to get it up and down. It's just, I'll never play that golf course that well anyway, just because it just wears you out. But that place would be infinitely harder. Do something different with the venues. The answer is not always, certainly not more trees, but it's not always long rough. Long rough off the tee, sure, but make us think in terms of having to get a ball up and down, or when you are out of play, where's the best place for me to leave it that gives me the best chance to get it up and down, rather than me just standing in the rough and swinging my heart out at a 6-iron to get it out of the rough, land it on the green, roll it over the green, and then go up there and just, splash a lob wedge onto the green and I'm done.
Yeah.
It's just, there's more that can be done other than rolling the golf ball back a certain amount. Now, rolling the golf ball back plus some new questions asked of us will make it probably even more difficult. And I could see the argument that would then showcase somebody that's more skilled, more thoughtful, more strategy. But there's just so often, most weeks out here, there's just no strategy. It's just, all right, rough's long, fairways are narrow. Yep, hit it as hard as you can. Try to hit as many fairways as you can. When you hit in the fairway, you make birdie. When you don't, you leave it in a spot that you can get it up and down, go to the next. It's the same thing over and over. I mean, that's the question they're asking us, is who can hit it the longest and the straightest. So you darn right people are hitting the ball pretty far.
So what you're talking about here, though, are at Torrey Pines or wherever, is thinking about maybe some more creative solutions than just saying, okay, we're going to draw a line in the sand and then we're going to break, and we're going to bifurcate and we're going to do all this. And it's sort of like I get this feeling it's like there are other options, and it would be interesting to talk to yourself or to people on tour, those elite people, those elite athletes, those elite golfers who are playing at this level and playing at these distances, and say, what can we do to, as you say, ask different questions. I hope that's what comes out of this question and answer period, because it would be nice to sort of, rather than sort of say, have good versus evil, or long versus here's, can't hit it far versus far, just butting heads. It's like, get people together and say, all right, we want to preserve golf at the old course. We want to preserve some of these venues, and what's the best way to approach that? Is it sort of rejiggering the golf course, or what can be, maybe there has to be something on the equipment side. But yeah, it is. I can see it's sort of jarring when it comes out that, okay, in 3 years, you can't play the golf ball that you've been playing for the last 10 or 15 years. So,
yeah, and it's like, I don't know, that could have a negative effect on my career. It could have a positive effect on who knows? I mean, it's something that, like, if they were to, I guess it's August, the comment period is finished, and we'll know whether or not it's implemented. And then, I have a year and a half to, like 2.5 years, 2.5 years to kind of like test and implement and see how this could affect me, see other ways that I can Okay, so, basically see how this affects me and see how I, solve for those solutions, which I guess, in a way is asking us a different question, but it's still kind of the same question. Um, there are other ways. I get like the old course, I think should remain untouched because it's the home of golf, right? I
Mhm.
mean, uh, and that we might it just might be lost in terms of like there's not a whole lot more we can do there. So when we go there, yeah, the scores are going to be low. I don't think anybody really cares. I don't even know that, and I don't know anybody from the RNA. I would like to like legitimately, hey man, sell you, Mr. RNA, you sell me on what this does for your venues, right? Like what were they really banged up? The guys are making a bunch of birdies. No, I think everybody was just thrilled to see the old course again. And I get that it's played different than it ever was, and there are some holes that have changed, but it's like, who cares, man? This is the greatest, maybe not the greatest, but at least regarded as one of the greatest, like well designed golf courses that has held up over centuries. And I get it still holds up. We saw it last year, it held up fine, but we're just making a few more birdies now. Like how, what's wrong with that? That's the, snobby PGA Tour player in me. Like I don't understand what's wrong with that. I just don't. And in the conversation I had with Scott, I was like, man, this is me, myself included, everybody else. We can't really come to grips with like there's something wrong.
Mhm.
I get your venue argument, but there are other things you can do too. And the venue argument is a good one because I don't want to see it be like, okay, well, we never go to St. Andrews again. But I don't think we'll ever not go to St. Andrews. Like it's the home of golf. Like yes, if it incrementally increases, there's going to be a few holes that you might be able to drive the ball on the green. Um, but that's still a skill, and you got to fit it through all these pop bunkers and everything. No one's going to be flying it onto the green. You got to if that's the choice that you want to make, then go for it. But you could leave it in a bunker and make, went for the green and make a bad bogey or worse. And then if I choose to not, I hit a 6 iron a wedge on the green, and you've made bogey and I make birdie. It's like boom, 2 shots there. Let's go. It's there. These are very difficult questions to answer. I mean, they just are. I
They
get their
are.
side of it. I get that
They
they
are.
want it to play like it used to. Um, in my opinion, and it has some snobby PGA Tour influence in the opinion. Like you missed the boat, man. We are not going to see golf like it used to. We're not going to see the same clubs hit into the greens that they did in the '70s. We're not going to see everybody now is like, oh yeah, make it spin more so it's going to curve. Like go out there and watch, guys. They can curve the ball, but it's not the question that's asked of us. This week, actually, there's some odd kind of dog legs and
Mhm.
shapes to fairways that, yeah, you'll see guys curve it more. You can't just bomb it straight and have it bounce. And this is it rained here last night, so maybe not tomorrow or Friday, but hopefully by the weekend it firms up. And you will have to get creative with keeping the ball in the fairway. So people curve it. People, we've evolved. We've gotten better. We've trained harder. We've learned how to hit it further, just that simply. And some guys have learned how to hit it further and straighter, and they're the best in the
Right.
world.
I mean, golf evolution and technology, and when you think about it, the original chaser of distance, and who would be chasing speed today. Not the original, but I mean, we've been chasing distance everyone since we started playing golf. And Tom Morris, far and shore, and moving, and he moved from the feathery to the to the gutty, because it was going to go farther. And that we've been chasing
Yeah.
distance for hundreds of years in golf, and that's never going to change. But there's
No.
there's more to the game than distance if we, as you say again, are asking the right questions. And birdie is just, if
Yeah.
par is just a way to keep score. I don't give a damn how many birdies people make. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And we have some incredible golf course architects that are restoring, um, you know, building new courses, right? That for the most part, I would say don't care about restoring a golf course or designing a golf course with us in mind. And I totally get that because most of the time we visit 1 week,
Mhm.
we leave, and then it goes back to the members or the folks in the community that play it. I get that the focus should be more on them, less on us. but we have some incredible minds in that space that, if asked, could come up with a lot. I'm confident could come up with a lot of different ways to challenge us and make us look silly without the golf ball being rolled back. Now, that's like a call to arms to the golf course architects. I also agree that that's not in their job description, and they probably shouldn't do that, because 51 weeks out of the year the golf course is played by somebody else. 1 week it's by us. I understand that. That gets back to, like, all right, your venue argument makes some sense, but there are plenty of men and women that are incredibly um, great designers, architects, and really just thinkers. Like, let's see if we can get them involved to challenge
Mm-hmm.
us in different ways. That would be another way to do it. And whether they want to or not, and whether they
Yeah.
should is also. And I don't know that they really should, but there are some folks that are really really good at
No,
that.
but they are.
Yeah,
They're very good at it, and certainly, when you talk to Gil Hans or anyone, or Andrew Green or people who are building golf courses that are going to be played by both pros and amateurs,
yeah.
they're talking about that. That's the challenge, certainly, but
Oh God, yeah,
that they're what Gil's at Oakmont right now, and he's keeping in mind what the members need, but
yeah,
I know he's thinking about what players were doing at the amateur, and so that they can't do that for the open.
yeah,
So that's what you have to do when you're hired at an Inverness, or you're hired at an
yeah,
Oakmont, or you're hired wherever, is you're designing. You got to keep your members in mind, but you know what? We play from pretty different
yeah,
spots on the golf course, so there is definitely a way to do it. So there's a lot going on, though.
yeah.
So distance, the the PGA Tour, the sort of talk about bifurcation, the sort of maybe creation of two tours within one. God, live,
Yeah.
etc. Is this all distracting? I mean, you're playing a golf tournament tomorrow morning, or tomorrow,
Sure.
sorry, tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, late
Um,
tomorrow
is
afternoon,
it
but yes.
is it too distracting? Is it yeah? Is it something that's fun to talk about, to occupy your mind and thinking about something else, or is it just sort of like just another distraction and you just want to play golf?
Yeah. Well, I'll say for the most part, when I'm out there, it's not a distraction. We all get pretty
Yeah.
focused on the task at hand, obviously, and I think that's why a lot of us have had the success that we've had. Especially the top guys in the world, they really don't get distracted ever away from kind of their plan and what they're gonna do, how they're gonna execute it.
Yeah, I should say, how do you block it
Yeah. Well, you basically just tee off.
out?
Just like, for the last 20 years of my competitive golf career, all I've ever tried to do is like not be distracted, focus on the task at hand. And I think I've gotten pretty good at doing that. So, basically just put your peg in the ground, tee off and go, and then just worry about the next shot in front of you. Um, the live stuff, when a year and a half ago or so, like that was a bit of a distraction, just because, like, I mean, especially for me, I did not have a good year last year. Like, there were times where it's like, gosh, yeah, I mean, if they had any interest in me, like, yeah, take a couple million and then play. I got guaranteed checks maybe for 3 or 4 years. Like, yeah, I've been struggling a little bit here and there. I don't, but I always came back to, like, that's the easy way out. That's the easy way out. I don't want to do that. And, like, I don't have children, but how am I going to look at my 10-year-old when he asks me, well, how do I solve for this, or having a hard time here, like. And it could possibly be perceived that, during my career, I made the jump and did the easy thing versus sticking it out and doing the hard thing and working to achieve my goals, on the PGA Tour. And I'm not trying to be controversial in saying that everybody that left for Live like took the easy way out, but for the most part, they were some guys that left that were on the back ends of their career, and I don't blame them at all. There were some guys that have achieved plenty on the PGA Tour and kind of in championship golf, and they were looking for something new. I don't blame them at all. And then there were a lot of guys that left because it's like literally generational wealth, and who in the world could blame them for that? Um, but yeah, like as it was going, like in a way distracting, just because you think, "Ooh, how much money could I get?" Like, oh, I don't have to be stressed out about trying to perform my best week in and week out here and keep my job and achieve, make it into the playoffs or play my way into majors or compete in majors. I mean, it's in a weird way that was distracting, but then, I mean, initially, and as it continued, I just like made the decision that's like, no, this is what I want to do. I want to achieve. There's some things that I want to achieve in this game that I have yet to do, and I'm going to continue to work hard to do that. And that kind of pretty much settled that. And then in terms of like basically, two tours being established within one, I think there were always two tours within one. Now that we just put a literal line in the sand to basically make them different. And then I wish I had more controversial take on it, but I think it's great. It allows someone like me that would be outside of the top 50. I finished outside of the top 50 in each of my first 3 years on tour. So, I know what I have to do now to get into those events. And then if I don't do that through the year, then the next year there's a way in which for me to qualify for the events based on my current year's play. Like that's all you can ask for. I mean, there's a way in which I can get into those events and for me it could be like life-changing weeks. For some it's not. It's just another big payday and a lot of points and it gets them along their way to achieving their goals. The only thing on that side is I worry that if these events don't these how we say designated, I continue to say
I
elevated,
keep
but
saying that too.
I'm supposed
Yeah.
to say designated. If these designated events um, don't perform and generate the revenue that we are planning on them generating, then what happens? Um, in my thought, then then that would happen is that the purses of the non designated elevate events will take a haircut to continue to pay and continue to have the designated events. That's no one has told me that's what would happen. That's just my kind of thought looking ahead. I could see that happening, and then that only furthers the divide between basically Tour One and Tour Two, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. But again, this is some future stuff that none of us as professional golfers like to think about. We could look back on this in 30 years and be like, golly, man, thank gosh we did that back then. Who knows? Um, it is somewhat on on me to leave the tour in a better place for those that are coming. As I make my way off of it, which I hope is no time soon. But the guys that are coming onto the tour, we need to continue that. We need to make sure that there is a tour and continue to make sure that it's the best version that it can be. And I think this is a good, at least, starting point.
Okay.
Um, I personally think that they will generate these big events will generate enough revenue that we will not see much of a difference in a non-designated event um, that let's say was played this year. I think the purses will remain the same. Everybody will make a comfortable living. Everybody will have equal opportunity to play their way onto, we'll call it Tour One. Um, and that's all you can ask for, man. It just go out, shoot the scores, boom, you get into the big, kind of life changing events, right? It's really just as simple as that.
Yeah.
It could wind up not being simple in 5, 10, whatever, how many years time. Um, and I hope it doesn't, and I don't necessarily see that it will. I think it's already been a success. The designated events that have been played so far, it seems that this is a
Hmm.
success. We continue to do a good job of. This is an entertainment product, so we continue to do a good job of entertaining and selling our product and improving our product while we're trying to sell it more and more and more. Everything should be all kumbaya. Everybody will be happy.
Are you okay with the no cuts? That's a piece of it that is a little bit icky.
I really wish that if I was in charge, I would do the same thing that they just did. I would add, instead of 5 from the schedule will be ideally 3 non-designated, 2 designated. I would have added 5 more guys, so top 10 point earners in the 3 get into the next
Uh-huh.
2, which basically means you just a top 3 finish in any of those events. Boom, you're in. Um, so that brings it roughly to 80, 85. And then I would have given the fall events a little bit of love. I would have said, I would have probably tried to push for top 10 in the fall event points earners are in at least maybe the first 4 or 6. And then based on your play, you can stay in or be switched out. So now we're roughly at 90 guys. And then I'd cut 20 of them, maybe 25. And just simply because of the nonsense that you hear from the live lovers about, well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing at all. But that would just shut them up, right? Just like have a very small cut and just shut them up. I
So I
don't
don't
see it
take it.
being a huge deal.
Yeah, I take it you are not. I mean, you spoke about live. I think in very honest terms, looking at both sides of it. But you don't take me
Sure.
as a live lover. Uh, do you feel like that they've come after are they coming after your place of work?
I feel like they have attempted to and have failed so far to make a dent big enough that would affect me or any of us in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that they can't continue to come after, what the tour is, what the tour represents, how the tour operates, because they do. I mean, we just call it like we see it. They have unlimited funds, and if they want to continue to do this, they can continue to do so. Um, that it's entirely possible that as it goes on longer, live being goes on longer and maybe continues to improve, that it will affect us at a later date. I don't think that it has yet. I think it just gave us the kick in the rear that we needed to look kind of internally at really our top players, and then everybody else to some degree too. That like it was a reminder that like, all right, we got to go out and do a good job entertaining and good job with our fans and improve our product. How do we do that? Obviously there's been some things implemented for 2024 that it should help. Um, I don't see, you know, I have friends that left. I wish like I wish Twitter just didn't exist, but it's just so entertaining. Just some of the stuff these people say, and like even some of the golfers, like the stuff that they say. But like I guess like there where somebody's contract or addendums in the contract say obviously no shit, we paid you a ton of money. You got to say nice things about us and bad things about them. It's like, man, you or somebody else or somebody you employ is paying that you're paying is typing that tweet. Like, come on, man, you
Right.
don't really feel that way. It's not, you know, I'm a huge, huge Dustin Johnson fan. I was before he left. I think he's a savant. I think the way he operates is like exactly how I want to operate. He's totally unbothered when he hits poor shots and like just gives himself the best opportunity to be the greatest player he can be and works his tail off. And then I'm even more of a fan of him now because he left and just said like, look, I just kind of wanted to go for another 4 or 5 years and basically double my career earnings and not have to ever think about money ever again and not have my kids or my kids' kids or their kids' kids like just going to take care of my family. And he didn't name himself in the lawsuit. He's never once said anything negative about anyone or anything. It's just, I don't know how he must have a different contract than some of those other guys, man. I mean, because he does not play that game. And I respect that. I really do. And
Yeah.
there's even some guys that say some things that can be like, mean directed at the PGA Tour, but they do it in a way that it basically is, in my eyes, if you read between the lines, you know it's a way to also kind of be like, yeah, I'm thankful for what the PGA Tour gave me in terms of an opportunity and a platform to grow, and now I'm also thankful that this has come around and I'm trying something new. But then there's some of those guys. It's just like, man, we know why you're tweeting this. You have to say these bad things about the tour and good things about live. Like, who knows? And that's just it's such a like comment on the world that we live in
Yeah.
nowadays. And and I never thought it would come to golf, and man, did it. It's just like it's
Oh, it
everywhere.
came to
It's
golf.
you can't like one, you can't like the other. Hell, I've watched some live tournaments. I mean, it's slightly entertaining. Like the team stuff is like kind of cool, but it doesn't feel like they do a really good job of like telling the story of the team. But like I gotta watch it on mute when these guys start talking about like how great
Yeah.
everything is, and you know, having poking jabs, poking fun at the tour. Like you guys don't exist without us ever, starting. Like it just piss off. It's just the world we live in now. It was the perfect time to start another rival tour, because you're going to get some folks that are just going to love it and just going to like be the keyboard warriors for them, whether or not they're actual people or not. Who knows? That's another story for another day. It's just you guys can have yours. You guys can work your tail off to make yours great. We're going to work our tails off to make ours great, and no one has to win in the end, right? Like I want the PGA Tour to win, but like, hey, if they both exist, cool. I mean, that's great. I want the PGA Tour to always be just a little bit better.
Fair enough.
And I think we have improved, and we're continuing to improve because we're only worried about ourselves now. We're not necessarily worried about them. You're always worried about the threat that they may pick off a few more of the top guys, but they've spent so much money. I'd be shocked if they want to continue to give out all that money. Without first improving their product.
No doubt. You said you had friends that have left. Who are your friends that left, and do you keep? I mean, how has it been since they left?
Um, my one of my they were relatively close. I mean, I would say golf friends stayed with Taylor Gooch a few times
Hmm.
and stayed with Harold Varner a few times
Yeah.
and would play practice rounds with him. And I would say not much has changed. We never really spoke a ton away from tournaments. Slightly like bummed I don't get to see two of my friends anymore, and really, speak with them a ton. And I have a ton of respect for everybody that went over there, not because they went over there, but because of what they, achieved in the game, and obviously, still a great amount of respect for the guys that I would consider, closer friends. Um, and it's not them
Yeah.
personally; it's more just like what they did, what they bought into, and them being forced to, whether forced or not, but I think mostly forced, them being forced to kind of badmouth anybody else that's different, and it's just silly. There's just no, there shouldn't be a place for it in this world, but there is, and that's hell. That's what sells
I
nowadays.
know.
How
I
many
know.
mean things can you say about somebody that just gave their opinion on something?
Yeah.
Tell them that they're wrong. Tell them that they're the worst person ever. It's just I don't remember being like this before social media. I remember how I got a cell phone my senior year of high school, and it didn't have the internet on it. And I just remember like not a ton of not a ton of my friends or really anybody that I knew really bullied anybody. It was like there was some of it here and there, but it was like I'll sit at the lunchroom with anybody. I don't care. I don't care if I've never met them before. I can sit and have a conversation with somebody, and it was like we all took care of each other. If and it's just the world is just not like that anymore. It's just not, and I'm not perfect either. I have bought into it at times too. Just sad, really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just I don't think there's any need for it, but I know why it's there because it sells. It just simply does. Being harsh and mean and short and quick with anybody and everybody sells nowadays. So
Yeah.
people are
Well,
taking advantage of that.
I know. I'm glad you brought up your growing up, because I want to talk about you. Um, we've
Sure.
asked you to be, you've been asked to be spokesperson here, for all these issues, and it's been, and you've done you've done a great job, and the perspective is just awesome, for us to sort of get the view from someone who's out there,
Well,
on the
thank you.
tour,
I do appreciate. Yeah,
and
I do.
it's just
I always
really,
appreciate hearing those things. Yeah.
your incredible, the honesty and the thoughtfulness is fantastic. Um, and how are you doing? How's your game, and how do you feel about where you are? How's your golf? And we got to hang out a little bit a couple weeks ago at Stream Song.
Yeah,
And you talked about your game and some of the things that you're working on. And I want you to tell folks maybe why you're trying to smile a little more.
yeah. Oh, well, it looks like we made it over an hour. We're talking about everything else. Now we can do another 2 hours talking about me. Um, my game is always in a perpetual state of it's way better than I give myself credit for. Um, I really do feel like there's some really good golf coming, because I'm continuing to better, kind of detach from the result, whether it be shot by
Mhm.
shot, day by day. I'm continually getting better at that, and I just feel, and I know that I'm working. I work on the same things over and over and over. I know that like I'm doubling down and doing that, and also working to like be creative and hit golf shots that would fit, into a golf course instead of golf swing, right? And I'm still not where I want to be in terms of like my swing feels. It's not super duper automatic, which then just obviously makes it so much easier to turn my brain off and just hit some fun shots, just hit some cool shots. Let's see how
Mhm.
low we can shoot. Um, but I did. I spent some time with Dr. Bob Rotella, just after Christmas last year, and it was eye opening for the reasons that I didn't think it would be eye opening. It was also frustrating because he didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. But that's the whole point, that we've all done this before, and it's just simply a choice to. And this is what I've been going to, give yourself the gift of a great mindset day in and day out, day in and day out. And it's just simply a choice. And it's a hard one to make. To do that, you have to detach from the result. You have to be, present and mindful and, stuck in the process of what you're doing. And that's really all that matters. The result just doesn't. Now, as somebody that gets paid and makes a living off the result is always going to matter. So that's going to, that's the hard part about kind of my mental journey, we'll say. But I'm happy with the skill. I am skilled enough to win the golf tournament this week. Am I where I want to be, swinging the club and how it feels? No, absolutely not. But my skills are in a position where I can win the golf tournament this week, next week, any week between now and the end of the year. Obviously, winning the tournament is going to be made a little easier on just my mind if I continue to work on the same things and continually get better at the kind of things within my swing that I want to feel, and then we call it, and then I can just go into go mode and just like look at a flag and hit it there, or maybe not, it not be a flag, look 15 feet left and hit it there. Um, so yeah, I am. It's been, I don't want to say hard work, but it's a difficult choice, and it's a choice like the choice of a great mindset. Um, it's very easy to just be knocked out of that and be whiny and bitchy and like, I feel like I'm swinging it like crap today. It's not my day. I'm fighting off all those feelings, and those thoughts, and basically allowing them to happen, but then also be like, no, man, you're still good enough. Over 4 days, a lot of golf, man. You're still good enough to shoot a score and put together a round that keeps you in it, and then let's just go work to get better. And maybe the next day is going to be one of those magic days where the ball goes where you look and you hole a few putts, and then boom, you shoot 6, 7 under, you're right back in the tournament. Um, if my I feel like my mindset is becoming a weapon, which is awesome. If my skills get, basically, if my skills meet and they collide, I feel like I'm going to win one of these things by 10. Um, but that's not the point. It's not the point to think that. It's nice to have that confidence. Um, but really, the only thing that I'm trying to do is continually have a great mindset day in and day out while on the golf course. And we did a Q&A when we were together, and somebody asked me, what does that great mindset look like? And it's a great question because it differs like day to day. But one of
Mhm.
the things, and I need to continue to find ways just pre-round before I get out there to like set myself up for that success. But one of the things that I came up with was, I thought, well, my best performing self is somebody that is like I would be on this podcast. I'm interactive, I'm honest, hopefully at times insightful, but like I look up, I can speak to people, I smile, I, say my piece, whatever. Um, So the thought was, I'm gonna make it a point to smile at least once a hole, every hole I play. And I did that every day in Puerto Rico, and I had a nice week there. And I'm gonna do that every day here. I got a little note in my yardage book written. I know it's corny as hell, but the cliches work. I flip up the yardage book. I look at, hey, remember to smile. I write. I wrote an expletive after that, kind of dumb, and then rear end. Um, remember to smile, and then I go through, and then get to the page of the hole that I'm on and figure out what I want to do, and then I'm only thinking about that, and I'm going, and then I'm working. I need to continue to work to accept the result afterward, right? I get pretty irritated when I do not hit the shot exactly how I want to. I need to stop doing that. I need to just kind of accept it, probably add another smile, and just go work
Mm-hmm.
and get ready to get it up and down, whatever, maybe hit a nice lag putt, maybe hole a 25 footer, whatever comes, like just get ready to do that next. And maybe smiling's the trick. Who knows? I still need to get, if I'm being honest, I need to get like more comfortable. And I know this is my fourth year on tour. It sounds kind of weird. I just don't think I ever really, I got this nice piece of advice from Harrison Frazier, who's a member at Trinity Forest down in Dallas, played the tour forever. I don't think I ever got comfortable hitting uh, bad shots in front of people. Like I want to show off in front of people, and when I am in show off mode, it's great. But I don't think I ever like came to grips with like, yeah, dude, you're gonna hit some pretty terrible shots in front of people, and at times they're gonna like audibly or physically react to those shots as if like, wow, this guy kind of stinks, right? Like whatever it may be. It is a little something that I've had some difficulty with. So that's also a point of emphasis, and that goes more to the accepting. It's like, okay, it's okay that you
Right.
hit a bad shot in front of them, and it's okay that they reacted to it. Now, like, hey man, if you come and watch me hit the short game shot that shot just left, come watch. Like the show off is going to come eventually, right? Come watch this stuff that I'm about to do.
Mm-hmm.
So those are really kind of the few things that I'm working on, continuously trying to get better at. But again,
Yeah.
it's difficult, but that's what makes golf so great. It's never going to be solved. It's never there's something that you can improve on every single day, and a lot of people, myself included, um, you know, really work hard to improve the physical side of the game. Where, hey, if you also improve your kind of emotional and mental the emotional and mental aspects of this game, you could really see that physical side also just kind of like catch up. It's like, hey, well, shit, the train's leaving. We might want to jump on there too. And the next thing you know, like obviously the game's easy. We all work so hard at this to have those days that are easy. Um, and then sadly, unfortunately, that's why golf is so beautiful. There are so few days that are easy.
Right. No, that's just all tremendous advice and really helpful. So our members at the Golfers Journal are a lot of them are doing something we're calling the index experiment this year, where we're sort of all trying to get better, a little bit better together, and whether that be lowering your handicap or
Yeah,
winning your club championship or losing weight, or it's sort of like a community improvement kind of
sure.
thing, and we're supporting each other. But I just love that advice. You know, if we can just maybe try to smile, and because just by doing that, you're acting your way, into the right kind of thinking. And sometimes you need to do that
Yeah.
in your life is to sort of, as they
Oh,
say, fake
there's
it till you
times
make
where I
it,
do
right?
not want to
Right,
smile. Yeah.
right, and
Yeah, there are plenty of times throughout a day I do not want to smile, but it's like, all right, we told ourselves we're going to do it, we're going to do it, and it does. It, although slightly, it just continually makes it a little easier to be in a good mindset.
yeah.
Next shot, next shot, next shot.
Now the little bit I haven't got to spend that much time with you, Harry, but I will say, like, you're a competitive dude, and you're really driven, and I would say that
Sure,
my impression before that, before meeting you and listening to you a few times, and is like on the tour you kind of had the fun persona, like the fun guy that everyone, like if there was a poll of like who do you want to have a beer with, you would probably win.
sure.
Um, and but I think people might be surprised to find out like you want to beat people. Like that's the impression.
Yeah, I want to beat them like
Yeah.
soundly. Yes,
Do you want to be
yes.
like the fun guy or the feared guy, or is there a way to be both?
Ooh, it would be kind of sick to be both.
It would. It
It
would.
would be really cool, perform at my best for multiple weeks a year and in some of the biggest championships, and also just have such a great time doing it that those that are paired with me maybe struggle with, like, how is this guy enjoying this so much? Like, how is he
Fair.
playing this great and looking around and saying hello to people and all this stuff? Like, that is the end goal. Um, well, and then, with a caveat that if it like is like actually affecting my playing partners, maybe not doing it so much. I want to win fair and square. I don't want to be a nuisance. Um, but yeah, I mean, I obviously, it shouldn't shock anybody. I take this very seriously, and that is part of some of my mental struggles were kind of like the character that I was being portrayed as is like, that's not really me. Like
Right. That's the impression I'm getting.
fortunately I'm good in social settings. I will, yeah. I mean, I can speak to people. I can talk about, and fortunately for me, also a lot of the social settings are, it's like they come to be in the presence of a golfer, and they come and want to talk about golf and my experience. That shit's easy
Mhm.
for me, man. Like, of course I can talk about golf. I don't always want to do it, but I do it a lot, and I really like doing it. I don't really necessarily tire of talking about what I get to do, and at times how grateful I am that I get to do it, and how much work it has taken to be able to do it and do it at this level. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, I just want to beat the shit out of people. I don't want, like, I want to win every tournament. I mean, and I think most every one of us do. Um, yeah, and it's one thing to say it, and I say it quite often. It's another thing to, like, follow up with the sub points of, like, okay, so you want to win. Well, these are the things that you have to do, and it's not necessarily like be this like superhuman golfer that hits superhuman golf shots. No, you have to be patient. You at times have to be boring. You have to make the right decisions throughout a round, whether it be take it on, lay it up, miss it right, miss it left, find solutions when there's trouble right. How am I going to just make sure that I don't hit it in the trouble right? Like, I mean, there's obviously so much that goes into it, but the overarching theme is absolutely, I want to win. I want to be the best in the world. Basically my goal is just see how good I can be at this, right? I mean, this is something I've always wanted to play on this stage. And I really don't think that I have put, not without, I would say, I don't think I've been my best performing self really any year on tour. For stretches, my most skilled self. I would say I'm definitely more skilled than I was 5 years ago. Um, but like, it just hasn't quite translated to the tour like I would have wanted it to. So in that, keep working hard, but also continue to be nice to yourself, that, like, it's okay. It will come. It will come. You're doing the right things. It will come. And then the competitor in me also has that short fuse. It's like, nope, tired of this, man. I want to swing the way that I know I can swing. I want to hit the shots the way I know I can hit them, so that the game becomes easy. But again, it's never really that easy. Even when you are on go, it's never that easy. There's always something that comes up that you got to solve for, and then continue to press and go down that path of, like, all right, now I'm back. Now we can be aggressive, like, be the aggressor, go out there, play to win. Yeah, I do. I'm not necessarily the character that I'm necessarily portrayed as. I don't love getting onto a green and having people just scream and yell ridiculous things. Like, you got to deal with that. I mean, it's just, now, in fairness, I have brought a lot of this on myself. Um, External factors allowed me to be kind of maybe the silly fun guy at multiple different points. Scottsdale being one of them. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's like, well, I probably shouldn't have done that. I don't really be portrayed as that. But on the flip side, it has been a very positive experience as well. To show, especially in that moment, that, like, yeah, I'm a human being after all. Like, this is really cool for us too. You don't have to be a robot and put your head down and just go about your work and then go to the next hole. Like, it's okay to have some fun while doing it. I need to continually remind myself that it is okay to have fun doing what I get to do. Because there are some weeks where I'm not great at it and it's not that much fun. It's just not. But I can not be my most skilled and still have fun and still perform relatively well, if not exceptionally well, because I have done that before too.
Yeah. Well, it's fun.
So yeah,
It's fun to watch.
I I am competitive. I want to win.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch you having fun. And you bring a lot of, you
Sure.
bring a great approach. Well, have you always not buttoned up your shirt? I just forgot to add.
Yeah, it's
Is
been
it
this way. It's
always
been this way forever, and it's more of a practical thing than anything. Now I do have this is a 4 button shirt.
yeah.
There is one button done,
Okay.
so I've always buttoned my shirt. Um,
Ah.
I am a big guy. I've got pretty
Yeah.
big rounder
Hmm.
shoulders. I do not wear any polo that is not a 4 button polo. Um, because it feels like it's just kind of constricting me and it doesn't like sit right on my shoulders and on my back, and so it's more practical than anything else.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for vanity. Now it's fun to lean into it at times, but like no, it's more practical. And like the sunglasses, I wear sunglasses even when it's not sunny. I have a hard time. I think I have some slight color blindness. I've never looked into it and I don't really care to, but I have a hard time at times differentiating like different shades of green, especially when it's very sunny out and
Hmm.
bright. You hit a ball up into the blue sky and then it runs down to the green grass. I sometimes have a hard time. I would never be able to see my ball land without sunglasses on, and they are prescription a little bit too. And I also feel like it gives me, the tint of the glasses gives me an advantage on the greens. It allows me to see maybe break that others can't. That it kind of dulls the green down for me that I can see.
Hmm.
So, both those things, obviously, I look a bit different. I dress maybe slightly different, and I wear sunglasses that a lot of guys do now, but maybe, not the majority. But all of those things that I do have a practical reason to them. And then, it benefits me at times to lean into,
Sure.
those things as well. So I do that also. But yes, I can't wear, and shout out Grayson. They have now, dealt with my oddity, and now anytime they send shirts, it's only 4 buttons. The first couple of years, they'd sneak a couple 3 button shirts in there. It's like, guys, it's just a waste. I'm not going to wear it. Most of them I find homes to buddies of mine,
Sure.
but it comes with logos and everything on it. Like they don't always want to wear a logoed
Right.
shirt.
Right.
My dad loves it when I get a 3 button shirt. He and I both are extra large, so he gets to wear the 3 button.
Hey,
Um,
I'm.
More and more now with dude wipes. Shockingly, people want to wear a shirt more and more that says dude wipes on it. I thought it would be the opposite. I thought
Yeah.
maybe they would want to avoid a shirt that says dude wipes, but that's not the case.
No, no. That is a bit of a surprise, but hey,
Yeah,
you're not going to get one anywhere else, probably.
yeah, probably not.
I'm glad you brought up your family. I'm glad you brought up your
Yeah,
family because I did some sort of accidental research on your where you grew up,
sure.
and because I played golf with a man named Ron Jones.
Okay.
This I played with him this winter down in Naples,
Yeah,
Florida,
well, I figured
and this
that.
was
Yeah,
before I met we caught up at all. And so Ron is incredibly proud of you and
yeah,
is a great friend of your father's. It sounds like. And was an early supporter of yours as you
yeah,
came out of school and were making your way. And so huge fan of yours, but he gave me some insights on your growing up and playing. He had a lot to say about your relationship with your brother, who's your
yeah,
caddy
yeah.
and a very fine player in his own right. So what's that? And I believe played with you at SMU, if
Yes.
I'm correct.
Yep. For 1 year. Yes.
So what is, yeah, what is that relationship like, and how, as you go through this process of trying to, um, find the right mindset and
Yeah.
practice a positive mindset every day. I mean, your brother obviously knows what you're working on. What's that like having your brother on your bag? And what's that relationship? When you were kids, Ron told me there was, uh, he said if Alex was here, he'd give you a lot of shit. So I should try to get Alex on the pod as well. What's that relationship like?
Yeah. One. I know it's not as glamorous as having me on, but my brother could really tell some great Harry stories. And he probably deserves more airtime than me. Alex, my brother, he's definitely more reserved than me. Um, he doesn't quite have the same personality, but he still has the same, great set of social skills, and he would just be an awesome interview. As to the question, like, what is it like? It is obviously insanely motivating. To the better I do, the better my little brother also does, and that is one of
Mm-hmm.
the huge positives. We are now 3 years in, and he has, and I'd put him up against anybody that's had crazy success. There is no one better than my brother at what he does. He takes it very seriously. He works very hard at it. There's no one better. There are people that are as good, and there are people that are as good that have had better results, right? Won more tournaments, won bigger tournaments. So they're viewed as maybe, some of the best caddies in the game. My brother is one of the best caddies in the game. He just doesn't quite have the player that has gotten him the results that he probably deserves yet. And that's why we work so hard to continue to do this. It's also difficult, very difficult at times. As you can imagine, having my younger brother there with me when things go wrong, it is easier for me to be an ass to him and knock myself out of the mindset that I am trying to stay in and live in and just be. Um, it is easy to yell at him, to what do we do, what are we doing, why didn't we do that, it's just easier to do that to him than somebody else that I have carrying my bag. And even somebody else that was 3 years in, it's still going to be harder for me to do that to them. Although that's somebody that's basically I'm married to. I'm spending, more time with them than I am my, now what will be future wife. But, my girlfriend, I spend more time with my brother than I do with my girlfriend just because, he's on the road with me all the time. Um, so that part, I would say I was aware of, but I was uncertain it's going to affect me as much as it did, and I let it continue to affect me too much. I was mean to myself, and then also mean to him. He is the only person inside the ropes that cares at all how well I do. He's my teammate and also my younger brother. Like that, this should be the best experience of both of our lives. And I think if we were to go back and look, let's say, God forbid I don't play the game anymore in 5 years, I think we would both go back and look as like our 8 years together. That was an awesome experience. But there are too many weeks where he probably wanted to run and hide from me. We can't have that. It's not doing either one of us a favor. It's not making golf any easier. It's not giving me a great chance to perform at my best and achieve my goals and also help him achieve his. So it has been, it's difficult at times. It's insanely motivating. It's so cool that like I get to spend all this time with my brother, and make some like seriously important decisions in terms of winning tournaments and big tournaments with him right there next to me. But I let it affect me in a negative way a bit too often and for a bit too long. He 3 weeks ago at Honda, Alex, my brother, we missed the cut, hit it in the water too much. Really actually played quite nice, but it's a very demanding golf course. I hit in the water too much, too many penalty strokes, missed the cut. We go out and practice Saturday afternoon to just kind of get ready for the next week. And we have a nice session. My coach, Corey Lundberg, we were doing a little FaceTime lesson. Technology these days, they can be right there with you in the room. And we came to, and wasn't anything different. Work on the same things. All right, good job. And my brother, as we got back to the locker room, said, I need to ask you something. And I want you to let me finish, and then you can answer. And I was like, oh boy, what the hell? What did I do? And he said, do you feel that this mental journey that you're on, do you feel it's harder for you to have a good mindset and be in a good frame of mind to perform your best with me on the bag? Because I know it can be easy at times to look at me and blame me and yell at me and all this stuff. Do you think it would be easier without me here? And that was pretty jarring for me to hear that. One, that says that I have done a poor job as a big brother and, the golfer in a golfer caddy relationship, which just again, motivates me further to continue to have this great mindset and enjoy the time with my brother. Obviously, as we all know, that it's more enjoyable the better result you have, but it shouldn't matter. It should be a great time. Um, I thought about it for. The answer to this was like, no, we're doing this together. But I took about 5 seconds and I told him, Al, I, all that I want to achieve in this game, and there's a long list, and just like I haven't even really formulated the list, but just kind of like I would just want to be the best that I can be. I want to do that with you, and I get that I have not been at times great to you, and I have not been the best version of myself that allows us to perform our best. And it's hard, but I'm continuing to work on it, and I'm going to get there. I'm going to, I will be the best version of myself that allows us to work the best together to achieve both of our goals and dreams within this game. And I want to do it with my brother because I think that's awesome. And selfishly, I want to do it with my brother because he's the best caddy out here, tied for first, the best caddy out here. So I thought, the question comes up, and yeah, it's difficult. There's a few guys out here that have their brothers, and they go through the same thing. Like, it is very easy to whine and bitch and moan to your younger brother and tell him that he's not doing a good job, or why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And that's just deflecting. I mean, I'm the one hitting the damn ball. It's all and I know it's all my fault. If I hit it left, I hit it right. Like it's my fault. If he gets a yardage wrong, that's the only way that he can mess up. He's doing his best to give me the appropriate information to then allow me to perform my best, shot by shot by shot. Like, he's doing his best, and he's the only one that cares how well I do that's inside the ropes. So I'm that question also is just another reminder, and it's kind of turned into a therapy session for me. I need to make a concerted effort day in and day out to be nice to my younger brother. Just like enjoy the time that we get to spend together, playing and competing on the world's best tour. Like, I should be able to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I need to continue to get better at it because I have not been great at it. And I went through a 6, 7, 8 month stretch where I was pretty shitty at it day in and day out. We would still have fun and be cheerful, off the golf course. We would always have a ton of fun. But, I found him wanting to spend less and less time with me because, I was a menace to him out on the golf course. It doesn't need to happen. And it's going to continue to happen to some degree. Eventually, hopefully the goal would be in due time. It doesn't happen at all. We're just out there doing our best, picking targets, painting pictures, being a golfer, shooting the best score we can, signing a scorecard, and we're just like, boom, let's go enjoy being with each other. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. I can tell.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really wouldn't. It's motivating. And he has turned himself in 3 years into a world-class caddy. And I am very thankful that he did that because he didn't.
That's awesome.
As that was the goal, but he didn't have to. He worked really hard to do that himself. I knew nothing about what to tell him to do, right? Like, I don't know how to be a caddy. I know how to hit it. I don't know how to. I mean, a caddy is a part psychologist, part therapist. I mean, those guys wear many, many hats in a 4.5, 5 hour round, and it's a difficult job. It's a job that often gets overlooked, and it really shouldn't. We see the success that Scotty Scheffler's had after a caddy change, and I think Scotty would have wound up. And I knew his caddy before, and he was a great caddy too. I think Scotty would have wound up having about the same level of success that he has now. But boy, it sure does seem like that switch has made him into a great golfer, but somebody that brings that great mindset to the golf course day in and day out. Whether or not it has something to do with it, who knows? Yeah. I know Scotty's wife. I know Scotty's family. He's got a great family, great support staff. But yeah, I mean, it sure seems like he's getting a lot of help from his caddy too. Those guys do a lot. Does. They work really, really hard.
Yeah. Well, it's so cool for you to be out there with Alex, and trust me, listening to you talk about him, you sound like a pretty damn good big brother to me. And but yes, as the youngest of 5, be nicer to your little brother.
I mean, we all need to all the time,
right?
We need to be nicer to everybody. We've commented on just the state of the world too, like
exactly.
Be nicer to everybody, and I need to more especially be nicer to him. Yeah.
By the way, I hope your girlfriend knows about your plans since you just sort of announced them there. I know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably
Okay,
not a shock.
just don't
It's
want.
moving fast. We are, yeah. There have been there. She wouldn't be shocked by it. I feel no pressure,
Okay.
but this is the best I'm going to do. I can guarantee you that. She has been. We have known each other for a while. She is a great friend of mine and has been a great partner as well. I've really enjoyed. We're now just over 2 years, so I've enjoyed
Okay.
the 2 years we've been together, and really the 15 plus years we've known each other.
Oh wow.
I am. I joke that like, oh boy, real people stuff is coming. But I am very excited to do real people stuff with her. I really am. So,
That's awesome.
and then hopefully, selfishly, that makes me a better golfer too. Maybe, yeah, have something that gets me away from the game more and more and more. I think it can be helpful as well.
Yeah.
But she has been a huge asset in this whole mental journey too. It's a team effort for sure. But it really the onus falls to me to be my be my best self day in and day out. Make that choice and do it and live it. So
It sounds like you're doing a great job. I'm just going to leave you with this: that I happen to know that there's something of significance going on in your life today that would be strange that I know. But maybe you can think of what it is. Something maybe going on with your family. Um, at least according to my
oh
friend Ron.
yeah.
Have your parents
Yeah.
moving out of your childhood home?
Yeah. My parents, yeah, they're out of the childhood home. They are headed down to the Bradenton area in Florida. They are tired of the cold in Kansas
Right?
City. Yeah, big things, man. We got home for Christmas the last Christmas, and we saw a for sale sign in the yard, and
It's
it
tough.
wasn't a shock. We kind of knew it was coming. Yeah, it is. My girlfriend is from Kansas City as well, and her family they grew up about a 9 iron from where I grew up.
Is that with the new ball or the old ball?
Well, yeah, good point. Maybe an 8 iron with a new ball. There's a road in the middle, so if I get the right bounce, I could get a 9 iron there.
There you go.
Yeah, it's so I will always still have family and roots in Kansas City, but yes, my mom and dad have up and
That's
left.
good.
They are, I think they are driving to Florida now. They may end up in Bradenton this evening. I need to probably check in on with my parents. But yeah, that's new territory. I guess now.
I was gonna say you should after this call. You got to
Yeah,
check in. You got to check in with your folks. See how
yeah.
that all went. Good for them. Moving to the warm
One of
weather.
the two holidays. Now they split it up. It was easy for my girlfriend and I. We'd go back home and we do both holidays. They're right down the
Yeah,
street from
yeah.
each other. So they've split up holidays, but at least whether it be Thanksgiving or Christmas, either one of them is going to be a little warmer in the Bradenton area than Kansas City, as you can imagine. So
Where are you living?
I live in Dallas, so
Yeah,
sometimes it's warm
that's right.
those
Okay.
months a year. Sometimes it's not. But yeah,
Right.
fortunately, also Dallas makes it very easy to travel both to Kansas City and Bradenton. I don't have to do many one stop. A lot of nonstop flights, which is very nice.
And I know that you're an Eagles fan, so I don't have to razz you about anything about Dallas. That you actually were
Yeah.
born in Camden, New Jersey. How about that?
Yeah, we were before Kansas City.
That's wild.
Just the hospital was in Camden, and then we lived in Malvern for just outside Philadelphia for 10 years, and then wound
Get
up in
out!
Kansas City. So,
I'm in Malvern right
are you
now.
really?
Well, I'm in Devon, right down the street from
Okay, well
Malvern. My
that's
girls go
close
to
enough.
school in
Yeah,
Malvern. Gil lives in Malvern,
yeah.
which is just right
It
down the
would have been
way.
Conestoga High School if I went
Yeah,
public. It would have been Malvern Prep private. It did obviously didn't come to that. I went to Hillside Elementary. Um,
yeah, you did.
oh yeah, yep. I
No
have
way.
my
That's wild.
aunts and uncles Paoli. They live in Paoli. A
Yeah.
few have kind of gone down to the Jersey Shore now, and or just kind of scattered throughout New Jersey. But I have tons of pretty much all extended family is in the Philadelphia area.
Ah,
So
man, you just got
special
so much
place in my
cooler. You're
heart.
already very cool.
Yeah,
Wow, that's awesome. And I play out of Waynesboro in Paoli.
yeah,
We
awesome.
should when you come back to visit, we should we'll hang out
I would love to.
with your
I
Philly
when we
folks.
left, moved right on a golf course in Kansas City when I was 10, and that pretty much started it. I have not done really any golf in the Philadelphia area, which is a shame because I know there's some of the
That is a
best golf in the
shame.
world there. And it will
Darn
happen,
right.
obviously, as a professional golfer now. It's hard to play or travel and play golf because it's what I do all year long. So yes, when I do not have to do that, I like to be home. But the time will come, and hopefully very soon, that we get to do some golf in the Philadelphia area because I know it's phenomenal.
Well, we'd love to have you, and we can't thank you enough for giving us so much time.
You got it.
Hopefully, we filled up some of your evening, and the
Yeah,
length of time that you
I'm
have.
just trying to kill time at this point. Yeah, between now and when I tee off, yes.
A 2:30 tea time, and I'm certainly going to be pulling for you this week. Go get them. Remember to
Thank
smile.
you.
Be nice to Alex,
Exactly.
and you're damn good enough to win.
Those two things will help.
All right.
Yep. Those two things will help. Help more than the physical
There you
side of
go.
everything too.
Exactly, Harry. You're the best. Thank you so much for the time and for everything.
Tom, thank you. I appreciate the time. I appreciate you letting me get on my soapbox every now and again, and using this as, in a way, therapy for me too. So it has been a lot of fun.
Good. The soapbox is always open here at the Golfers Journal.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Now, the next big thing that comes, maybe we'll just have to come and hash it all out.
We will.